Ben, I will ask you one thing.
Sure.
Please hum if just tell me that everybody can see this and
It's clear. Your voice is clear. The screen's clear. We're good.
awesome. Amazing. Okay, so hey everybody. If we haven't met, my name is Gerge. Please call me Geri. It's much easier for everybody who doesn't speak Hungarian or doesn't have these weird sounds in the language. Today, I would like to talk about. I would like to tell you a story based on a true story um, that I went through, and I really wanted to share. To be honest, I already shared this story last week within my vertical, uh, and everybody liked it. So I thought maybe I should tell it to all of you. So, who's this talk for? This talk is for people who uh, sometimes feel overwhelmed by doing programming. If you sometimes feel intimidated to create something, try out something new, or just jump into something that you never done. So, first question to everybody, and sadly I cannot see you. We are not in the office for the last 2 years. But the question is, do you enjoy coding? And if we would be in the office, I imagine that all of you would raise their hand, and I could just shout out like, I do. And I assume all of you, at least once in your lifetime, enjoyed programming. Uh, so I did a lot. And the feeling is like this. You learn something, you enjoy it a lot. I enjoy programming since I recovered from the injuries. I went into a summer camp and we learned about Turbo Pascal. I didn't enjoy at that time, but right after I recovered from those injuries, I knew that this is my jam. I really enjoy coding. So the feeling is usually that nothing can stop you. You learn new things every day. You get a lot of satisfaction, a lot of success from your work, especially when you can solve those really tough issues. When you finally figure out what's the reason for that bug that you are trying to fix. So usually it's really satisfying. It's really joyful what we do. But I also know that sometimes it's really hard to find joy in coding. Sometimes you just like this, head down, you don't enjoy what you're doing, something is not working, and it could be for several reasons. Yeah, it could be a million reasons. It could be, if I'm sticking with this bicycle example, that there are too many distractions. People are watching you, they're cheering, maybe they are just trying to get your attention, and you're not paying enough attention what you're doing, and you fall. Maybe you're just too tired and you tip over, or the task at hand is a bit too big and you have to take a step back. So imagine a person who would go through all these things, um, a lot of pressure, expectations that are hard to meet, distractions. It's really easy to lose the enjoyment of coding. So once it happens, how can I enjoy it again? What is the magic potion? What is the magic strategy to get it back? So in my case, I thought of myself and I was like, okay, if you're not enjoying it currently, mix in something that you really like. Mix in something and maybe it will catch. And so before I go on, I have to tell you a few things about myself. I love arts. To be honest, I love arts so much that I studied arts for a couple years, and I especially like uh, visual interactive arts. So I studied classic art, modern art, videography, photography, but I wasn't as good as I wanted to be. And that was the time when I was like, okay, let's try out about something else too. So don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. But I was still looking for something else. So I became a programmer. And this is something I also found really engaging. It gave me a lot of satisfaction. So I became a happy programmer. And actually, this is the state where I want to be again. So I was like, okay. So the original question was, how can I enjoy it again? And my answer was, can I combine the two things that I enjoy or enjoyed? Can I combine arts with programming? And the answer is could be generative art. So this is an art form. The vague definition is that you create some rules, you provide some boundaries, you give it to a computer or any kind of instrument that can follow those rules and boundaries, and you let this whole process take over and create art on your behalf. So it could be a program generating shapes and color patterns and all this stuff. And you already seen it so many times, I'm more than sure. So one of the most famous generative art genre, I'm not sure how to call it, is actually fractals. For example, Mendel brought geez, I don't even cannot even recall the name. Mendel brought fractals. This is generative art. It looks fancy. At least I would call it art. And it does combine the two things that I mentioned. So it does combine programming and it does combine art in some form. So here are a couple more examples. So this is all generated using rules and something that follows those rules within some boundaries, and it creates, at least in my opinion, mesmerizing results. And if I want to take it a step further, you can make them move. You can make them interactive. So this is from a blog post. It's not my doing, but this is generative art. These are also insanely engaging generative art. It's always my opinion, but I love watching these things, and I hope there are a couple of you in the audience who also find it mesmerizing and engaging. So if I want to do something like this, how do I start? Again, I have to remember my goal. Somebody wrote on me. I will just ignore that. So I have to remember the goal, and that is to get back the enjoyment, get back the joy of programming. So whatever I do, it has to be accessible. I don't want to learn a whole language with a whole framework and difficult things. I want to have a tool that is really expressive and easily accessible. I also want the experience to be positive from the beginning. So I don't want to have a lot of failures, because hey, I'm chasing joy here. And if you're talking about programming, I would really prefer if it would be something that is in a language that I already know. I know a couple of languages: Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Go, Clojure. So it would be really nice to find something within those languages. And lucky for me, lucky for everybody who's interested in visual arts, there is a foundation. It's an open source foundation that creates several projects to promote software literacy within visual arts, and also visual literacy within technology. So they have a really nice project. It's called P5JS. And P5JS has, in my opinion, again, everything that I wanted. It has a great community. It has an online editor. It's a JavaScript framework to create visual art, but it's really accessible. The editor is super straightforward code. On the right side, you have your output. It actually translates the JavaScript errors into human-readable messages. So if you're not a JavaScript mastermind, not a front-end developer, you can still jump in and enjoy it and understand what's going on. And what is most important, it also has a really great reference, a really great manual. So if you are looking for something, you will quite possibly find it immediately. And the reference has really nice examples, so you can immediately copy paste them and play around with those examples. So after this, I was like, okay, hey, let's jump in. I only have to know two functions to get started. What can I do with P5JS? And this is, for example, yesterday, I put this one together yesterday evening. And with that, I'm lying a little bit because last week I already talked about this topic. And I had something similar last week. But this is this can be put together in a couple of minutes. It should. Okay, anyway, it's not playing anymore. But this was a lot of fun. So instead of finishing my slides, actually, I was just tweaking these small things. I was just watching them, how they move, how the arrows move. I was just tweaking them, adding a bit more force, adding a bit more speed, adding some friction. And at the end, I asked the same question that I asked you in the beginning. Do I enjoy it? Do I enjoy coding with this tool? And my answer was, oh, yes. That hour that I spent there, it just flew away. I'm playing here, and usually that gives me a lot of joy. I wasn't caring too much about the quality of the code. I was really just enjoying watching what I did and creating art. I mean, my kind of art. And yeah, that's when I realized, okay, I'm back to that state where I wanted to be, the happy programmer. So for me, this is kind of recreational programming, as the title says. And basically, I have one message for you, and that is look after your own joy, because partially that's what makes you a happy programmer. And I think, yeah, in my opinion, that's super important to do. So if you're interested and you want to try it out, of course, you can always reach out to me, and I can give you some tips. We can talk about visual arts. We can talk about generative art. If you want to try it out, these are the URLs: p5gs.org. You can find a foundation through that website. If you want to jump right in and you want to try out the editor, it's editor.p5gs.org, and it will also have a link to the reference. To be honest, that's my talk. So I would like to thank you. And Ben, yeah, this is on the bike. It's not me, but the kid is rocking, and I hope I can also rock like him. So Ben asked me to actually give you a sneak peek that I'm not lying, and let me just share one of the tabs where I have
the factual evidence that it is
the actual
procedurally
evidence.
generated.
So it's not a video. It's really some code. The naming is awful. The grouping of the logic is awful, and I used a lot of magic numbers and all that stuff. But at the end, it's not the important thing. The important thing is that you can create these small things, and you can play around. You can just disable some stuff, and the auto refresh will restart it. Set restarted. Yeah. And you just play around with all the things. Maybe you want to have fancy background colors. You want to see the pedaling noise in the background. You don't really interested in the arrows, or you just want to mess around with some other stuff, and it's kind of relaxing, at least for me. So I will just shut up now. I took 20 minutes, and I think that's what I promised to the organizers.
Yeah.
Yes, I will post the links into the Tech Talks channel.
You can also, I'm assuming you're also going to post your example of your one that you were just showing us as well, because I had a quick look through it, and as much as Gergo's saying that the naming is bad, no, like this guy's good at writing code. It's so nice being able to see some of this stuff and being able to recognize some things like the Perlin noise and going, wow, that's actually kind of useful and kind of cool. Makes it look pretty. Cool. Is there anyone that has any questions apart from, can I share links, for example?
Yeah, so I already shared the links